Good morning, church. Today is July 12th, 2020. We're going to get right into it this morning. We're going to begin our online service with the Wesleyan Covenant Prayer, if you will join me. I am no longer my own, but thine. Put me to what thou wilt. Rank me with whom thou wilt. Put me to doing. Put me to suffering. Let me be employed by thee or laid aside for thee. Exalted for thee or brought low for thee. Let me be full. Let me be empty. Let me have all things. Let me have nothing. I freely and heartily yield all things to thy pleasure and disposal. And now, O glorious and blessed God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, thou art mine and I am thine. So be it. And the covenant which I have made on earth, let it be ratified in heaven. Amen. I want to spend just a minute to kind of update you on what's going on in the life of the Sublette and the Montezuma United Methodist Church. Folks, we have began meeting again for services. Sublette is at 9 o'clock in the morning on Sundays, and it's in the west yard beside the church, right beside the sanctuary. We invite everybody that wants to attend to be there. And we want you to be aware that we want to keep you safe as well. At this point in time, we're asking everybody to bring their own chair and to wear a mask, just for the safety of everybody involved. The service format is a little bit different. It's a little bit shorter, and we try to get done before the heat of the day really progresses. And Montezuma, beginning today, you're meeting inside the church. And we are going to, we've already gone through the church. The church has been cleaned and sanitized. Everything has been removed, all the hymnals and anything like that. We ask that you wear a mask to the service. If you, for some reason, don't want to wear a mask, then we're going to ask that you sit in the side wings of the church. And definitely in all instances, we're going to be practicing social distancing. We'll have video music there that you can listen to, but we're not going to get back into the hymns just yet. We need a little more of a safety net put in place. So that's what's happening in the life of your church. And the online services are going to take a little bit different format as well. As we're meeting together in our churches or around our church buildings, then these online messages or online services are going to include mostly just a prayer and maybe a short message, and not much more than that will be on the online portion of our services. And we'll let you know as things develop, and you know, they're developing every day something different. So as things change and as decisions are being made by your leadership teams, we will let you know what is happening in the life of the church and how we can participate in worship together. But just remember, we are meeting at the Montezuma Church, and we're meeting at the Sublette Church, but the Sublette Church is meeting at 9 o'clock in the morning outside. And what a wonderful service. It's been really great to be outside. Be blessed. I'll be back with you very shortly with a message. So this week, my family and I were able to go to Camp Lakeside. What a wonderful experience, folks. If you can do that, certainly try to schedule something with Ross and the crew up there. They do an awesome job, and individual families can start meeting there. The camps aren't going this year. But there are opportunities that you can get up there. And you know what? They have a few things up there they could probably use some help with as well. So while you're there, ask them if there's something that you might do to help out the camp. While we were there, this week, I was really taken back by a few things. Some conversation that I had with Ross, the director up there, and some things just watching my own children as they played and interacted with the naturalness of Camp Lakeside and Monument Park and the Pueblo and everything. I was really taken back a couple times just watching the kids. And you know, throughout this summer, especially in our churches, I'm wondering how we're reaching out and how we're connecting with our children, or are we doing that? And can we do a better job at that? One of the things that I really noticed in my own children this week is, man, when you get them out into nature and when you get them out and just play and listen to them, you find out and you realize how open they are to the world around them, and how easily it is for them to just take in and you know, just be spontaneous. And it got me thinking about this passage that I'm going to read to you here in Matthew 18. I think I'm going to read the passage, and then you know what? I'm going to show you just a short video clip of Dakota. He told me that I could share this with you. I'm not going to share the whole thing, but I want you to see how children look at things, and maybe how it's a little different than how we look at things. And I think this clip will definitely show that to you. But first, I'm going to read this to you. Matthew 18, 1 through 5. At that time, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Who then is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" See, they were trying to identify things by worldly terms. Who's the greatest? Who's got the most status? Who's got the best job? Or who's learned the most in these 3 years? Who is it? Who is going to be the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And I think most of you know what Jesus does here, and I just love it. He called a little child to him, a little child. And he took and he placed the child among them. And he said, "Truly," listen to this, he says this, "truly I tell you, unless you change and you become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever takes this lowly position of this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven." What a surprise. Here, these gentlemen are arguing about the status of greatness and who is going to be the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And Jesus just blows their mind. He takes the simplest, the simplest, like the child that was there, and sets them and said, "You got to be like this. You've got to change who you are. You got to change the way you think. You got to get out of that worldly realm, and you've got to start thinking like a child." So listen to a little bit of this video, and then I'll come back to you and tell you a little bit more about it.
This thing, it literally gets down.
This is upside down?
Yeah. Okay. These things, say like you label it on the front, it barely damages it at all. That's how strong the front armor is. But if it manages to bite the back, which is hard because these things can turn around incredibly fast.
So this is a fin. Now isn't that funny? Man, this kid has got an imagination. And the way that he looks at things and the way he sees things around him is so much different than my own. And it's not so much that I wanted to tell you that we need to be children or we need to be childish. That's definitely not what I want you to draw from this. But I want you to draw maybe from the fact of how, as we grow older, how the world around us changes and how things become very worldly and less spiritual. You see, my kids, they can reflect Bible stories in the things that they see around them. Even up there at Monument Rock, we're looking at all of these chalk cliffs and stuff full of fossilized creatures. And we get into the conversation of creation and how things were formed. How wonderful to just step back and listen to the innocence that the children have, and realize how, as we get older, we become more jaded. And the passage here in Matthew, Jesus tells us we've got to step away. We've got to step away from that worldly view. Right now, we talk about this frequently. There's so many things going on in our world, and there's so many things going on right here in the United States. And it just keeps, the division just seems to be increasing on nearly a daily basis. And we start separating ourselves into different groups of what we believe and what we think, or what our opinion is, or our political status, or our cultural status. There's so many things right now that are pulling us, so many worldly things right now that are just pulling us away from unity and pulling us out into this deep division, and that's increasing daily. And a passage like this reminds us, when we hear what Jesus says, truly, I tell you, unless you change and become like children, meaning look upon your world in a different way, not from the worldly perspective, not from the way that we've learned, or how we have formed our opinions, or how we might be different from somebody else. Don't look at it that way from the perspective of the world, but we need to look at it as children who are innocent and humble when they look upon the world and when they look upon other people's. They haven't had the time and the opportunity because they've been protected from all of that during their informative years. And they just haven't had that experience. And when they look upon the world, they see the love, the grace, the hope, the innocence, and even the imagination of things. And how beautiful if we could all look upon the world in that way. Thank you, Dakota, for allowing me to share that. I know it's not scriptural, it's not got a text to it or anything, but it has an idea. That video that I shared with you has an idea of, can we imagine the world around us different than what we currently do? Can we imagine all of that as being part of God's creation, and creating all of us to be who we are, and individually unique? No two hands are the same. And what if we could look upon all of those things with the eyes and the imagination of children? Man, they're so full of hope. They're so full of love. They're so full of creativity. That's a message that I have for you to take with you. I'm gonna ask you, reach out to one of the young people in your community this week. Give them a call, or maybe invite them out somewhere to get a drink at the park or something. Of course, you need to have the permission to do that, but man, reach out to a child. And don't lead that conversation, but just allow them to be who they are and experience life through their eyes. And maybe we can all get a little bit of reminder of what Jesus is telling us here. Drop what we know from that world around us. What we've got to know, how we've got to be, is from the perspective, that freshness, that newness, that hope, and that love of a child. God bless each and every one of you, and may the peace of Christ be with you.